Nothing comes easy by any means. So, um, yeah, just being open, being so open. And I feel like I have to remind myself to be available to opportunity. Don't
Gotcha.
just say no right away.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Mhm.
Embrace it. It's happening for a reason. Maybe it's to teach you a lesson, but it also could, you're one choice away or one opportunity away from changing the outcome of your life.
I love
That's
it.
special.
Welcome to the Audacious Living Podcast, hosted by my man, Audley Stevenson, the Odd Man. He'll unpack wisdom and insights from a cross-section of top quality performers in business, media, sports, entertainment, and lifestyle to uncover key elements to help you live your best audacious life ever. So without further ado, here is the Odd Man.
Greetings and salutations. Audley Stevenson back for another edition of the Audacious Living Podcast. I guarantee you will not find another podcast on the internet more audacious than this one. Hey, listen, I really appreciate you for being here and spending some time with us on our journey as we continue our ongoing goal of helping our listeners live their best audacious lives ever. As always, I encourage you to connect with us and follow us on social media. Like, follow, subscribe, share. Speaking of subscribe, if you head over to our YouTube channel and hit that bell, Oh boy, it's late. Oh, there we go. Ding, ding, ding. And that's where you're connected to all good things Audacious related, man. I don't know what's happening here. But anyhow, we've got a great episode of the podcast headed your way. We got the uber talented, she's a model, actress, content creator, and sports broadcaster. Shea-Lynn Noyes joins me on today's episode. And Shea-Lynn is someone who I'm a big fan. I love her work. I appreciate her energy. She's a lovely young woman who's on the verge of doing some great things. And I gotta say, the thing that I love best about Shea-Lynn is the fact that she continually takes chances and gambles on herself, not just once, twice, but regularly. And really, they paid off for big ways because she's at a place where she wants to be. Her days are exciting, and she can't wait to jump into it. And it's all about the journey that she's taking, and you're gonna really appreciate hearing from her. She's full of gratitude and appreciation for every new day because it feels like an adventure. And I'm telling you, it was just a great place to be and a great place to have her share her story. She's got so much on her plate. Her schedule is so hectic, and that's another reason why I'm super appreciative that she's spent some time with me here on the Audacious Living Podcast. So why don't I stop talking now and give you an opportunity to hear my conversation with Shea-Lynn Noyes. Enjoy. Shea-Lynn, thank you for being here on the Audacious Living Podcast. This is so awesome, man.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
This is good. This is good. I've been one of the conversations I've been looking forward to for a little while. I think you're doing a great job, and we're going to talk about all the good stuff that you're into. But yeah, again, I'm happy to have you. Is my point. That's all I'm getting
I feel so good this Tuesday morning. If I knew I needed compliments, if I knew I needed to feel good, I know where to come.
You're
Okay.
right here. I got your back, Shayla. I got your back. Um, you've got so much on your plate. You're super busy all the time, which is fantastic. But the piece of the part about it, maybe you can get you. This is where I can get you to comment on is when you're as busy as you are and you've got stuff going on, but you like what you're doing, right? And you enjoy what you're doing. That's got to have a different kind of vibe. It's not that whole like I'm busy and I got stuff. It's got to be a different energy, isn't it?
It's definitely a different energy. And for those who don't know me, my background, I guess, is modeling, acting, sports reporting, content creation, and I probably go 100% at each category. So yes, I keep very busy, and it's hard for me to almost choose between each of those subjects because I love them all. I adore every opportunity that kind of flows into my life, and they somehow continue to keep coming, which is great. And I just want to capitalize on each opportunity. But yeah, the energy that I feel now
Hmm.
in my life versus when I used to have just a 9 to 5 steady
Right.
job. That was all I did was
Right.
I would wake up in the morning and I would be like, oh, it's another day.
Hmm.
There's no life to me. And
Right.
now it's like, okay, we got this happening today. We got that happening today. We got two things in one. And I'm very, very thankful that I've shifted my life and trusted my abilities to be able to create this life that is unique, that is
Right.
special, that is different, that is exciting, that is exhilarating. Like that energy, I hope most people in their lifetime get to experience it, because that's like this driving purpose. Like
Right.
that's where I think you can find it.
Right.
So
Right. No, no, I agree, and again, it's that energy, that spark is what kind of gets us going. And we all heard that saying that you find the thing you love, you don't feel like you're ever working, right? And I can so relate that in many ways. The thing you touched on, which I want to jump in on, one of the points you touched on, I want to jump in on, is a whole idea of being ready for opportunities that come your way, and being open to that. I think there's great significance in allowing ourselves to accept what happens, because there are times when things don't go your way, and you have to be accepting of that too, isn't it?
yeah, I'd agree. Not everything in my life has been like easy, and it might look like, wow, she's really busy, but there are a lot of times as a actor and model where you might cast for something, which I'll do probably maybe 15 to 20 times a month. I'll cast for something and I'll get a no.
Right.
So
And
when
that's important. That's important. That's what's
important,
really it's
which
important, right?
exactly, getting, because eventually the opportunity that's for you will come around.
Yes.
And there's something about keeping it grounded, right? Like you have to hustle and you have to grind and you have to work. Nothing comes easy by any means. So, um, yeah, just being open, being so, so open. And I feel like I have to remind myself to be available to opportunity. Don't
Gotcha.
just say no right away.
Yeah.
Think about it,
Hmm.
embrace it. It's happening for a reason. Maybe it's to teach you a lesson, but it also could, you're one choice away or one opportunity away from changing the outcome of your life.
I love
That's
it.
special in my
I
opinion.
love it. I love it. One choice away. That's a big one. That's a big one.
Mhm.
On choices, you made a choice to come to Toronto. You're originally from Alberta, right? You
Yes,
made a choice to come to Toronto. Talk about that whole process, because what you came here for has
yes.
changed, hasn't it?
Yes. So I moved to Toronto 3.5 years ago,
Okay.
and I initially moved for a job opportunity in architecture. I
Okay.
used to work for a architecture firm here in the city. I was an interior designer working on some of the most beautiful retail structures here in the city, and it was fun. That's what I thought I was supposed to be doing with my life, and I studied that. I studied for 5 years. Like I put time and money into my education, and I was like, now I'm moving to the big city. I get to move to Toronto. I got this
Yeah.
big job. Like, how cool is that?
Yeah.
And then I get into that that environment, and I was like, this is not my soul. This is not who I am. I have to figure out how to find me. And in that moment, I didn't know I was going to be, the sports personality. I didn't know I was going to be the actress. Like I had no thought of where I was going to go.
Right.
I just knew I was in the wrong place.
Okay.
So
How long did it take you to figure that out?
well, luckily COVID came, which I know a lot of people, COVID has been just like a very, very difficult time. And
Yes.
I'm not going to make joke of it.
Right.
Obviously it was hard financially. It was hard on health, like people, like
Yep.
families lost individuals. Um, COVID for me, fortunately enough, was a time for me to like
Okay.
pause life
Right.
and reevaluate what I want to do, reshape my life based on my interests, and like really go for it. Like I
Okay.
had the opportunity, there was a window there,
Right.
and I took it. And in that moment, I started to dip my toes into sort of like modeling, which was a faint dream in the back of my head. Like I've always thought I could maybe do it, but could I
Right.
really do it?
Right.
COVID gave me the opportunity to be like, well, might as well try it now. And that led into a little bit of acting. It trickled from that. And then I kept kind of being around basketball orientated people and watching broadcasters and sports personalities. And I was also kind of on set, I was acting and putting on a performance.
Right.
Obviously, it's a different discipline, but I was like, why can't I take the skills I'm sort of learning, being on set, being on camera, 3, 2, 1 action, and shift that into also a sports discipline? So then that's when the sports started to trickle in. And you figure it out all along the way, but it has been the most transition period from moving from Edmonton, Alberta to Toronto, Ontario. Like, that has been the most eye-opening experience for me to discover who I am as a woman and as a person and my identity. I don't have it all figured out yet,
Right.
but I am starting to see a light at the end of the tunnel.
Just so you know, we never figure it out. I
Okay.
don't have it figured out. So you're not alone. We're all in the same boat here. But I think that's the fun part of the journey, Shea-Lynn. It really is. That every day offers something brand new where you can go, okay, where does this fit and how does it go? So when we go back to the whole idea of just being open, right? Those are key aspects of the journey, right?
I always tell myself that if there's something I don't know, or
Yep.
I'm not sure where to turn, I'm not sure how to handle this, I am not sure what do I do? I always tell myself clues are all around me. I don't even like saying the words I don't know, because I think it puts out to the world, you don't know. It makes you confused. So I'm always like, clues are all around me. Where are the clues? Clues are
Yep.
coming.
Yep.
Be open. The clues are all around you. Before you know it, it's like, oh, well, the
Yep.
answer's so obvious,
Yep. Yep.
Um,
It's funny. Every time that I'm searching for something and I'm looking for an answer somewhere, I always say to myself, I've got to know someone that knows someone that can answer that. Like, there has to be either I know that person, that someone knows someone, and every time I do that and I pause, like you said, like you talked about the importance of the pause. I pause and you look, you're like, of course, and then you go, the answer was there the whole time, right?
it's so true. It's
Right.
so true. But we have to learn these things, right? It doesn't just naturally come to us. It takes time for us to learn it and then
Yep.
apply it and build a habit of it. Like,
Yes.
it's such a process.
Yes. So as a move to Toronto, was it scary?
Terrifying.
Really?
The most terrifying thing I've ever done. I didn't know a single person when I moved here. I knew me.
Okay, so let's get this stage. So you're in Alberta. You see this job. How, like, did you? Is something that you reached out for? Did they reach out to you? Like, how did you get here?
Yeah, I was living in Alberta. I
Yep.
had worked 1 year in architecture there. I had 1 year of really good experience, and I knew I wanted to switch up my scenery, switch up my
Right.
environment. So I actually applied to multiple places in Vancouver, places in Toronto, all over the place. And I said, whichever one offers me an opportunity, I'm booking a ticket and I'm going. And it
Good.
ended up being Toronto. So obviously there's like, it was meant to be because here we
Right.
are.
Right. So it's like, I want the job in Toronto. You got like, oh, I'm scared to take the job in Toronto now. Right? Is that?
Oh, terrible. When I moved here, it was definitely a culture shock. I'm actually like a rural Alberta country girl. So for me to come from that to the big city, it's like, oh, there's
No
sirens
rural.
everywhere. There's people running around. There's people on bikes. There's cars going everywhere. It's loud. It's busy on the subway. It's hustle and bustle. It was such a shock for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. So I'll tell you. So much time we spend talking about the podcast, about being bold and audacious and taking risks and all those sorts of things. Leaving your home and going somewhere new, that is a pretty big step. And I think oftentimes, and I want to. So I'm stopping on this point to give you credit for that, because I don't think we oftentimes give ourselves credit for those types of big steps, and they are big, Shayla, and they truly, truly are. So congratulations, because quite honestly, I'm not quite sure. As much as I may think I got it together, I'm not sure if I'd leave my home. I'm telling you, I'll be honest with you, right? So it's a big deal.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, and you're right. We definitely don't stop to think about the milestones that you've made.
Right,
You might not think that that was a very big milestone, but looking back, I would never be where I am in my life if I didn't just make that big choice.
right, right, right.
Yeah, thank you.
Right.
Appreciate it.
The other pivot you made, thanks to COVID, you talked about, is sort of channel into the sports industry. Talk about that process and that shift, because so first of all, basketball has always been your thing. This isn't new to you. You played. I mean, so you know the game. But talk about that shift and how you made that turn.
Yeah, I remember um, because at the time I had only been modeling and acting. And I
Okay.
was like, all right, I want to work in basketball because, as you just said, I played, it is my first love. How do I get from where I am now to like Sportsnet or TSN? And I already had my eyes set on Sportsnet and TSN, even though I have no education, I have no experience, I have no background, I have maybe no right even putting that out into the universe. But I was like, I'm going to get there. How? I don't know. I'll figure that out along the way. And what I ended up doing was, because we live in such a digital age, you can put anything out there. You can create
Yep.
a podcast, you can create a personality, you can build whatever it is you want to do in whatever niche and whatever discipline and put it out there. And like, that's yours. You own that.
Yep.
So I ended up creating Shay's Got Game, and it's a digital platform on social media, TikTok, whatever. And I would just talk about Raptors. I would talk about basketball.
Yep.
I would create funny videos. It started to get a lot of traction. It started to do really, really well. And eventually, Sportsnet, their talent strategy team sort of scouted me. And that's how it sort of like opened up. Like the door just was like opened. Now I walked through the door and there's like a whole lot of work I got to do to to prove
And,
that
and
I
I
can.
want to say, I want to say that is a big point. Still walking through the door, right? Like there's an application or an action thing that still needs to happen. That sometimes it presents yourself. Oh no, I'm not doing. Now is not the time. I'm not busy. I'm not ready. But you still walk through it.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Still walked through it. Still, I mean, when I walk through the door and you see all of these talented journalists, writers,
Yes. Yeah.
beat writers, like broadcast individuals, it's intimidating.
Sure.
And even obviously it's a male dominated space. There are more women in the space, not as many Black women like myself. So it's such, I'm still navigating this space and learning the challenges and learning myself and trying to find my footing. And like every day is like a learning lesson. Every
Right.
single day I have to work. It is not, it's like school every day. Not school, but it's real. It's life learning, I
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh
um,
man.
but it's a good time. Like I'm super, super thankful that it just happened to work out the way that it did, going back to like this transition and this journey. And when people ask me, many like students will ask me, a lot of the time they might message me on my social media accounts or LinkedIn, and they're like, where did you come from? How in the world, like, did you go to Ryerson or did you go here or did you go there? And I always tell people the same thing. I'm like, create, create. The world is so digital. And I feel in my like gut that like broadcast and all of it, television, I think it's moving to a digital market. Like
Yeah.
if you can reach people through your cell phone,
Yes.
that's powerful. Like
Yeah.
you have power there. And that's not something that networks have, I think, mastered yet. So I think they like to hire creators and
Right.
things like that, or open doors for those people because they can just easily communicate with a digital market.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah.
Is putting yourself, because you got to be able to put yourself out there, right?
Oh,
So you got to consciously say, like, if I need to be, so I got to do it. I've got to let go of my inhibitions, all the doubts and things I have, and just go out there and do it. Is that naturally you?
yes.
Okay.
Now in my life, yes. 2 or 3 years ago, no. I had to definitely find the confidence, find the strength, learn who I am, right? Build the confidence and have a stronger like mental health, because when
Right.
you're putting yourself out there, there's a lot of people will say this and there'll be
Sure.
trolls, haters, and whatever. So once you find confidence in who you are and you're like, I know who I am, I'm doing this for me, and I love to do this, like I don't care what anyone else thinks, like this, even if it gets 0 likes, not that it's about that, like I'm gonna put it out there because
Right.
this is who I am, this is what I want to be, and this is what makes me happy. That's what's most important when you're content creating. It is about you and only you and no one else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that process like for you to build your confidence and figure out who you are, and what, like, were there certain steps? What did you do? I'm curious.
Um, I mean, I'm still in the midst of that. I feel like
But it's a process. So no, it's still a process.
process.
It is a
It's such a
process.
process.
We never fully arrive. I think it's an ongoing thing, and what you do today isn't necessarily going to be the same what you do next week or next year. So that's fair.
Yeah. I mean, the main thing that I did was I created Shay's Got Game. And when
Okay.
I first had Shay's Got Game, I actually didn't tell anybody that that was like my account. Obviously, people would see it and they'd be like, oh, that's Shea-Lynn. But I just created this separate alter ego because I wasn't ready to announce to my friends and family who I care about their opinions that I'm doing these silly, funny basketball videos. So
Right.
I kept it sort of private, I want to say. Eventually, because it just started to get traction, people were like, yo, this is cool. Like, how come you didn't
Right.
tell me about this sooner? And then you're
Right.
like, I don't know why I didn't tell you about this sooner, because this is a part of my identity. Why would I be hiding a part of my identity? But I mean, I think many people go through that, and finding the courage to like just be who they are. It's such a hard, challenging thing, and you just have to work through it, and you have to just take risks. And like the biggest risk that I've taken is just owning up to that and like putting content out there now. And I'm definitely more comfortable now. I'm not as afraid. Do I get nervous every time I still create a brand new video and I'm like, ooh, got butterflies before I post this? Of course, but I don't regret posting the things that I post. I don't regret creating the content that I create. It's morphed me into the life that I have now, so it's worth it to me. But it's definitely a challenge. You have to build the confidence, the courage. That's why I mean, like having a stronger mental state helps, and
Yeah.
that's something that comes over time. Like we're not perfect. We suffer from anxieties. Like you get there. You get
Yeah.
there, and it's like one baby step at a time. One little.
I so love that the fact that you touched on having a fortified mental state, because there's a lot to that, and I know we've got a long way to go as society in terms of mental health and properly acknowledging it. I think we're starting to make some steps in that direction, but there is a long way to go. So I'm glad you sort of highlighted the significance of that.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely, maybe, I don't want to say being fortunate, but I haven't suffered with severe anxieties that some of my other friends or coworkers have suffered with or experienced when they're not sleeping, and like they're just so stressed, and like they don't want to get out of bed. Like I haven't experienced that, fortunately enough, but I have dealt with like just like a stress or a pressure. Like so I understand like the anxieties, and it's crazy to me the different like the spectrum.
Yes.
Um and I just feel like we have to live in a world where we're kind to one another, because we don't know each
Yeah.
other's level of like anxieties. And social media is just like uh, it is like the bad guy. Like, it's such a, it could be your friend, but it can also be your enemy. You know?
I got you. No, it's true. It's so true. A gift and a curse, right? And it just shows you how much power it can have. From a collaboration and innovation standpoint, it can do so much. But if you're not careful, it can quietly
Oh
tear you
yeah.
down, and you not even be aware of it, right? Like how many times you comparing yourself to people and they don't have this, and you think, oh, and the likes, and you get caught up in all that kind of stuff, and you lose sight of the focus, right? And it can happen to you.
You definitely do, and I think it's really, you need to be. Uh, I want to say just confident in who you are, like in whatever discipline, whatever niche, whatever amount of following. It doesn't matter. Just believe in yourself, because
Right.
like don't allow social media and your anxieties to eat at you or keep you from pursuing whatever it is you want or creating whatever it is you want. It sucks. I know what my life was like when I was not creating because I was nervous or scared or had
Right.
anxiety, versus how I am now. It's worth it. It's worth it to take the risk. It's worth it to just fight through your own fears in
Yep.
your own head, your own biggest
Yep.
like
Yep.
enemy.
Well, and oftentimes they are exactly that. They're our own, right? And it's interesting because there are times when there's value in the feedback and opinions of others, and other times you don't need to hear it, right? And so it's again, it's sort of that balancing, because Shaylen, there isn't really a correct or incorrect answer to all this stuff, right? You just got to feel as you go.
You do. It's such a feel as you go like thing. and you're learning as you go, and you're growing and you're evolving as you go through this. And I mean, all we can really do is like be kind to one another
Yes.
and get through it and be open about it and vulnerable about it and ask for help when you need help. That's, you know, no shame in that. And I definitely, if each of us just take our, if I mean, for me, social media, I'm always just trying to like uplift in any little way that I possibly can, or just check in on your friends, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
show positive conversations with social media, like change the narrative of it. If we each do a little bit,
Yeah.
I think it can help make a big difference. But yeah, check on your friends, ask for help when you need help. That's
Yeah.
my that's my advice in terms of.
Well, listen, you definitely use social media the right way, and in terms of creating that positive energy and
Mhm.
and leaving that lasting impression. I always checking to see what you got going on because I think it's good energy. I do, I truly do. I
Yeah.
think it's great energy. I think you do a fantastic job, and it's funny because if you kind of look back, our whole connection was through social media. This
Yes.
this conversation would not be happening, and I also want to take, the goal is that someone will hear something from this conversation, and if they can use it and apply it in their own life or make a difference for them, then that's a wonderful thing. But I want to go back because this conversation wouldn't have happened without social media. So there
No,
you go.
it
So
never would have. Look at that.
so it
See,
all goes full circle.
it's a good moment with social media. Good.
There you go. There you go. One for the social media the plus there. So I got to go back. So if you think back to the old Shea-Lynn, what was the dream? What was she dreaming about? What is it that she was after? And when you sort of look at where the old Shea-Lynn and where you are now, how far are they from one another? The two.
I think they're like light years apart from one another. Maybe not light years, but I just feel the old me was this person who maybe wasn't as confident, maybe played by the book, played by, okay, I go to school. Now I'm done school. Now I get a job. Now I work my hours and I vacation once a year. And then I do it again. And then I meet someone and then we get married and like just traditional
Right.
trajectory. That's what I thought life really was. And maybe that's because of how I was raised. That could have definitely a big part of like my beliefs.
Sure.
And then now I've really come into my own in terms of every aspect, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, just all of my identity has literally shifted because like that was not me back then. I've had
Right.
to discover, okay, what do I really want to do? What really makes me happy? What is my purpose?
Right.
So I've discovered all these things, and I said light years of a difference because we are two different people. We really are two different people. I can't imagine going back to that girl that I was. I'm significantly happier here. Was it a journey in between, ups and downs? It was a roller coaster ride. Yes,
Yeah.
100%. But it needed to happen to be where I am today, and um, it's wild to me now that I think you have me thinking back to like how much I've like grown, and it also helps with my career to see it just blossom so rapidly in a way,
Hmm.
like to just all of a sudden I was sitting in an office 9 to 5, and then now I'm on billboards in downtown Toronto, and I'm working for Sportsnet, and
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
on these crazy commercials. Like
Yeah.
it's I'm like, what?
Yeah.
All in the
Yeah.
span of 3 or 4 years? It's
Isn't that
crazy.
something?
It's crazy.
Isn't that something? So I wanted to jump in the billboards and specifically the Bet 99 campaign that you're part of, because that's a it's I think it's a nice tie into what we're talking about, because that whole campaign is about taking betting and taking a chance, and no one knows this better than you based on what we just talked about.
Yeah, it's pretty surreal to see. It almost is like kind of like a full circle moment for me. Um, the Bet 99 Betting on Women campaign, which includes myself, Alicia Newman, and Megan, all three powerful women who are working in sports, who are dominating in sports. Those two girls are incredible, and I was so happy to do this amazing campaign with them. Um, it's uh, it's such a bittersweet feeling. I don't even have the words still to this day when I go over to Dundas Square and I see myself. I'm like, that's real? Like,
It's got to be a
um,
pinch yourself moment sometimes,
it's
I guess.
definitely a pinch myself moment,
So
and
first time you saw it, what did you? What was the reaction?
I just cried.
Uh,
I was emotional. I was happy. I was just so fulfilled. Like I felt empowered. I almost like looked up at that woman like, oh, that's me. Like that's not just some girl I'm aspiring to be. That is me. That's I worked to get there, and it's such a oddly rewarding feeling moment. It's
right.
bittersweet. Like I'll never forget it. And I hope I never forget this feeling of pinch me of wow, even to this day, I feel it. Every time I see the commercial on TV, I feel it. I don't want to lose that. I don't want it to become stale. I always want to feel some sense of like gratitude and empowerment that like you really can do anything if you take a risk on
Amazing.
yourself. Like bet on women. It's crazy, very
Oh,
crazy.
I feel the excitement for you. I know when I initially saw it, I was blown away. I had that wow moment as well. I mean, I've said to you many times, I'm a big fan. I love what you do, and I love what you stand for. I love the way you present yourself. And so seeing that, I was like, oh man, this is awesome. And so I can just imagine, what you felt like and the emotion and all that comes with it, because it is a big deal. It's a big. If you didn't know, just in case you didn't know, this is a big deal, right?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Who knew like a small town rural Edmonton girl would be on a billboard in Dundas Square, and with my name on it. And I think also a big moment was because typically with any of the modeling and acting I do, I'm portraying a character. I am
Yes.
acting. I'm filling a role.
Yes.
With that particular billboard downtown, it said Shea-Lynn Noyes. It said me, person, the soul. So that was
Oh,
extremely rewarding.
you weren't pretending; you were being authentically you, and being able to present yourself just the way you want to when
Yeah,
you have that opportunity. Because sometimes, especially in your line of work, you don't always have that opportunity to be you, and you exactly did in that campaign.
that one. Yeah. So it's something so special. So special.
Oh, that's amazing. Uh, Now, with that, I would imagine there comes some, I guess, responsibility, certainly to yourself, to other women, to people who look up to you. What has that part been like? I know it's still fairly new, right? But there's a lot that comes with it now, right? You put yourself out there, you're talking about all these wonderful this wonderful campaign, an important initiative. There's some weight on your shoulders a little bit, isn't there?
Yeah. So with that campaign, Betting on
Mhm.
Women, Bet 99 is a sports book.
Yep.
It's where people can gamble. Uh, with that, my biggest responsibility being the sports fanatic who knows tons and tons about the basketball world and the NBA. I think people rely on my selections or my picks or my opinions in
Yes.
regards to sports betting, and they'll use sort of my thoughts or my props or my picks to make bets.
Sure.
This is a good thing and a little bit of a tough thing. Obviously, my biggest thing is play responsibly. And at the end of the day, betting is a winning and a losing thing. So you never know. There is no one who can really know
Sure.
when it comes to the betting space. So I think one of the biggest challenges is, at least for me personally, navigating making strong bets, and if they don't pan out and people kind of are very angry or aggravated about it, still staying positive and continuing to make some selections, because that's now my sort of role with it. Betting on women
Right.
is obviously the main thing, but also trusting women to fill these roles, because there are tons of sports betting sort of personalities and
Certainly.
people you
Certainly.
can trust online and things like that, or who make tons and tons and tons of money off of this. Am I trying to be only that for the rest of my life? No. Is that a part of my repertoire of things I like to do? Yes. So I think it's a very interesting space to navigate.
Got you.
um, but my biggest thing is just play responsibly. Yes, I use betting as like a fun thing to do
Yes.
versus putting my life savings towards.
Understood. 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 What about the example for other women that now look up to you and see you in this, not just necessarily the space, but with a role, if you will, and that example as a woman now working in sports, and there's some responsibility that comes with that as well, isn't there?
Definitely, definitely. It's a wildly beautiful thing to have people admire you and look up to you and want to follow in similar footsteps in whatever discipline they so choose. Um, my biggest thing is I just always bring my realness to anything that I do. And any advice that I give to young girls is be you. Spread your you-ness all over the world. Sprinkle it everywhere because that's what's going to get you to wherever you need to be. And I just, with all the kind of content that I create or, little glimpses of my life that I share on Instagram, I just want it to just be me talking or me doing whatever, or me working out or me dancing all funny. Like, be you, be you, be you, be you. That is my biggest thing when it comes to like a younger generation and like inspiring them to just, if
Yes.
anything, it's be you.
Yes, and it's so absolutely. Yeah, I'm all with you on that one. Absolutely. The interesting thing sometimes is people sometimes are afraid to be themselves and to put themselves out there, right? And some people talk about, hey, you're taking a risk, and I will come back and say, well, no. If you're truly being yourself, you're not risking anything. You're being the person that you're meant to be, and that's what the rest of the world needs to see, because you have no idea, and you may have experienced this, but you got no idea how you've inspired, uplifted, motivated other people. So the onus is on all of us, and myself included, to be exactly who I'm supposed to be.
I agree. And I think you're doing yourself a disservice by not being you, by not living your most authentic life. You are doing yourself a disservice because you deserve the desires that you deserve, like that you want. You deserve to travel the world. If you want to travel the world, you deserve to do that. If you want to work as a teacher, if you want to,
Yep.
be a professional athlete, whatever it is you want to do, you deserve to do it. If you want to be a content creator or a YouTuber, that's the big thing.
It's all out there.
Do it. You can start now, this very second. You deserve to do that. Don't rid yourself of that joy from your own fears. It definitely takes time, and have patience
Yes.
with yourself because we're
Nice.
not perfect, but you deserve it, and it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks or says. You
I love it.
deserve it. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Last question I want to ask you before we go on. And Shea-Lynn, I appreciated the time so much. This has been such a fun chat. Last question, and what I'm more so curious about is, so you put yourself out there. You've been bold. You've been audacious. You show the world, who's Shea-Lynn. The people that know you, the family and friends back home, are they surprised by what they see?
Yeah, they're very surprised. they they're very proud. They are nothing but like my biggest cheerleaders. I miss them dearly. That's the hardest part probably about being here is
Sure.
my sisters, my mother, my nieces and nephews, my best friends from my childhood. They're not here to sort of like witness these really special moments or anything like that, but they are the loudest cheerleaders from across the country. So they're super proud. They're excited when there's a new thing that comes out or they see me on their TV all the way in Edmonton. They're just so proud, and like
Amazing.
it makes it all super worth it. I relish in that proud feeling as well, so we
Sure.
both resonate with that. But it's amazing, and I'm so grateful to have just such a loving support system from.
Amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Shea-Lynn, I am super proud of you, and I encourage you to keep going. I think you're doing a fantastic job. Thank you for the time and hanging out with me on my podcast and talking about being bold and audacious and taking risks. And again, if the one person, someone out there listens and takes just one thing from what we talked about and it makes a difference for them, then I'm elated. So thank you for being a part of this, and keep it going. Really keep it going. I don't mean that.
Having me, I needed this like uplifting moment to kick off my week. So thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Like you, just try to be like you.
You already are. You're already there. I can guarantee you that. Thanks so much, Shea-Lynn. Take care.
Thank you.
Back we are here on the podcast, and so very cool to hang out and chat with Shea-Lynn and again to hear about her journey and the things that she's done, but also that conscious decision that she's made to gamble on herself every step of the way, which is really a test to the personal confidence and belief that we all need in ourselves to get on that pathway to achieve the greatness that's destined for us. So thanks again, Shea-Lynn, for doing this. It was really awesome of you. When I reflect on my conversation with Shea-Lynn, and she really left us with a lot of great things, but if there's just one thing that I take from our chat, it would be this. Whether we realize it or not, each of us possesses the capacity to reach our wildest dreams and beyond, despite what fears, uncertainties, and self-doubt creep and tell us when they get into our heads. When we take a gamble on ourselves, we're not waiting around for the right opportunity to hit us. We're taking it upon ourselves to create our own breaks and relying on our own skills and abilities. When we bet on ourselves, we're essentially investing in our own superpower, knowing full well that the fear is there. However, the negative emotions are surpassed by the feeling of putting yourself out there, on putting everything on the line. You're betting on your talent and having it all work out, which is by far the most exhilarating and audacious feeling we can feel in the world. Hey, listen, if you haven't registered for email notifications of the podcast, please know that you can do so simply by heading over to bestAudaciousLife.com, and all you've got to do is enter in your email address, and you will be subscribed immediately to all good things Audacious related. Now, we've reached the end of another episode, and I really got to send a shout out, as we always do, to our Audacious listeners. Really appreciate you for supporting this in the ongoing manner that you have. It's been tremendous, and I appreciate your support, and I say thank you. Until next time, stay safe, be kind, show love to one another, and be audacious.
You've been listening to the Audacious Living Podcast, hosted by Audley Stevenson. If you enjoyed what you heard, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, be audacious.